At the concert, I shouted to the slender, long-legged artist on stage, "Sister, you're so beautiful. Look at those long legs." As soon as I finished speaking, my close friend quickly covered my mouth. "This is a live broadcast. Aren't you afraid your wife will be jealous?" Facing his suspicious gaze, I still calmly flirted with the female artist, not worried at all. "I don't have a wife anymore. We're already divorced." My friend thought he misheard. Stunned for a moment, I slightly smirked, shouting in his ear that I've already divorced the tycoon's wife. The moment I shouted that sentence, the entire hall suddenly fell silent. Everyone turned to stare at me. Seeing my friend's frantically alarmed eyes, I slowly realized the strange atmosphere around me. My heart suddenly raced for no apparent reason, instinctively turned to look back. Under the scattered lights, a woman with veins popping on her forehead was glaring at me with bloodshot eyes. She looked furious. While I felt surprised, in my previous life, Jiang Nianqi and I married for business interests. We had a son and a daughter, lived until 62 but were never happy. Just because in Jiang Nian's heart, she always harbored her first love from her youth, Xiao Zhan. Even worse, both children also liked Xiao Jian and gradually grew distant from me. In my old age, I was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. Jiang Nianqi used rest and recovery as an excuse, abandoning me alone in the old house. On my birthday, I shakily called my wife and children, only to discover they were vacationing with Xiao Zhan in the Maldives. I wanted to cook myself a longevity noodle bowl, but due to confused memory, I forgot to turn off the stove. When flames consumed my body, my only wish from the bottom of my heart was if there's a next life, I would never again sacrifice my entire life for her. So after being reborn, the first thing I did was to bring divorce papers to find her white moonlight lover. "I want a divorce. Jiang Nianqi is yours. The children are also yours." Xiao Jian stared at me in shock, not believing I would suddenly take the initiative to step aside. I just gently added, "Because they all like you more. So it'll fulfill everyone's wishes. You just need to have Jiang Nianqi sign. After the cooling off period ends, I will leave. This time I won't repeat the old mistakes, won't continue being Mr. Liu who everyone ignores." Xiao Zhen's fingertips unconsciously caressed the rim of his glass. Frowning, "Liu, how you? What game are you playing?" I watched the unpredictable changing expressions on Xiao Zhen's face, calmly repeated, "I am not playing any game. I just feel it's enough. You know how many men outside want to be in your position?" I looked straight into his eyes, "So I'm giving it to you." Xiao Zhen's expression finally showed a crack. He stared at the agreement for a long time, finally chose to take it. "Fine. Since that's the case, I won't be polite anymore. But you must remember, what I get in my hands, I will never give back." "Don't worry," I smiled. "I absolutely won't regret it. Anyway, in my previous life, I've already tasted the bitterness of lifelong loneliness." Xiao Jian stood up and moved to another table in the cafe, then elegantly took out his phone. His fingertips gently tapped the screen a few times. When the call connected, his voice immediately turned gentle. "Nianqi, I am at the Lamb Sun Cafe. Can you come pick me up?" I sat to one side. The corner of my mouth formed a bitter smile. Was there ever a time when I called Jiang Nianqi 10 times, 9 times her assistant would answer? Yet now, in less than 20 minutes, the woman who was always in meetings had appeared at the cafe entrance. Through the glass window, I saw Jiang Nianqi taking long strides into the cafe, her high-end white suit dress highlighting her slender long legs. 5-year-old Liu Yuchen and 4-year-old Liu Yue, as soon as they saw Xiao Jian, rushed towards him, kissing and hugging. "Uncle Jane," Liu Yue sweetly called, her little face nuzzling back and forth against Xiao Jian's chest. Jiang Nianqi placed a cake box on the table, her slender fingers gently pushing it forward. "The chocolate flavor you like. I specially asked the chef to reduce the sugar." Xiao Jian's eyes lit up. "You always remember best." I sat in the corner, my fingers unconsciously pressing into my palm. Married for 6 years, Jiang Nianqi didn't even know what flavor I liked. In my previous life, when I was hospitalized and wanted mung bean cake, she just told her assistant to buy whatever. The result was mango flavor bao, something I am allergic to. "What would you like to eat tonight?" Jiang Nianqi's voice lowered. "French or Chinese?" Xiao Jian smiled, taking out the divorce agreement from his bag. "Before eating, there's a document I want you to see." He turned to the signature page. "I've found a villa, but don't have enough cash. You can." Jiang Nianqi took the pen, without looking at the content. "Directly signed. Between you and me, why need such clear distinctions?" "Uncle Jean wants to buy a new house?" Liu Yuchen raised his little face to ask. "Mom, buy one next door too. My sister and I want to move in with Uncle Jan. We don't want to live with Dad every day." Jiang Nianqi slightly frowned, but seeing the expectant eyes of the children, still opened her mouth to say, "Then buy one." "That's not necessary," Xiao Jian quickly said. "It'll leave 3 rooms. For Yuchen, Yue, and you too. Come whenever you want." The children cheered happily. Liu Yue even hugged Xiao Jian's neck, kissing him once. "Uncle Jean is the best. 1,000 times better than Dad." My heart felt squeezed by an invisible hand. The bitterness suffocated me to the point of breathlessness. I saw Jiang Nianqi's lips curve slightly upward. That was gentleness she had never shown me. When I returned to the villa, it was already dark, but I didn't rest. Went straight to clean up Jiang Nianqi's dresses, the children's toys, family photos. One by one, I threw them into cardboard boxes. "What are you doing?" Jiang Niance's voice suddenly rang out behind me. I turned to see her holding the children's hands at the door, frowning. Dad, why are you throwing away our things? Lu Yue ran over, seeing her stuffed bear in the box. Her little face reddened with anger. Lu Yuchen also angrily glared at me. We only went out with Uncle Jian for a while. Dad, why are you like this? Jiang Nianqi looked at me, her eyes still cold as usual. The children like being around Jean. To the point you get angry over such a small matter. I am not angry, I calmly said. Liar, Lu Yue shouted. Dad is definitely jealous of Uncle Jean. That's why you threw away my teddy bear. Dad is a bad dad. When I grow up, I'll move in with Uncle Jian. Never come back to visit Dad again. Lu Yuchen held his sister's hand firmly, saying. Jiang Nianci didn't stop the children's noise, just slightly frowned. Her deep eyes swept over me. That look, like looking at a stranger throwing an unreasonable tantrum. Enough. She slightly parted her red lips, her clear voice containing innate nobility, her slender fingers, casually adjusting her dress. The board has a video conference. Throw away whatever you want. Don't make noise. The moment the door closed, my eyes silently reddened. My heart felt torn into pieces. Each breath tasted like blood. I wiped away my tears, looking at the mess on the floor, suddenly smiled. Don't worry. I won't disturb her and won't do this anymore in the coming years. Since the divorce agreement was signed, I started ignoring household matters. I no longer woke up at 5 a.m. to prepare nutritious breakfast for the children. No longer stayed up late waiting for Jiang Nianqi to return from business dinners to cook her hangover soup. The household chores I once considered my duty, now all delegated to the housekeeper. At first, no one noticed anything unusual until Lu Yuchen was late for school and scolded by his teacher. Lu Yue couldn't find her workbook. Jiang Niance's pendulum clock stopped working. The housekeeper was flustered, but could never reach the female owner's standards. Dishes piled up in the kitchen, children's toys scattered across the living room, iron clothes still not flat enough. This once tidy house gradually became messy. When Jiang Nianci pushed open the bedroom door, I was leaning by the window reading. Sunlight filtered through the thin curtains, casting patterns of light and shadow over me. How long are you going to make a scene? She stood at the door, her voice dropping. I closed my book, looked up at her. I am not making a scene, so why aren't you managing the household anymore? She took a few steps forward. The light cedar scent gently spread in the air. Still angry about last time? Not angry. I put the book aside. Just don't want to manage anymore. Jiang Nianci narrowed her eyes, her slender finger tapping lightly on the table. Reason. Tired. I calmly said. We have a housekeeper. I don't need to do it. Lu. How you? Her voice turned cold. If you're upset, just say so directly. Don't act like a 3-year-old. I slightly pulled at the corner of my mouth. I am not upset. I just want to rest. Before I finished speaking, the room door was pushed open forcefully. Lu Yuchen and Lu Yue charged in, their little faces full of anger. Dad is too lazy. Lu Yue shouted. We want Uncle Zhan to come take care. Lu Yuchen also joined in. Uncle Zhan is more patient than Dad, more hardworking than Dad, 10,000 times better than Dad. Jiang Yance's eyes remained locked on my face, as if waiting for me to yield, but I just took a deep breath, gently said, if you think he's good, then invite him here. I have no objections. The atmosphere instantly froze. Jiang Niance's face completely darkened. Are you sure? I took a deep breath. Very sure. Mom, let's go. Lu Yue anxiously pulled Jiang Niance's sleeve. I want Uncle Zhen, right now. With Uncle Zhan, we won't need Dad anymore. Lu Yuchen made a face at me. Dad, go away. Leave this house. Jiang Nianci looked at me one last time. Seeing I was still unmoved, she turned and led the children away. I stood in place, listening to the car engine fade away, gently closed my eyes. Soon I would follow their wishes, completely leave them, leave this house. The first day Xiao Zhan moved in. He directed the housekeeper to rearrange the entire living room. This sofa is too dark. He gently ran his fingers across the genuine leather sofa, turning to smile gently at Jiang Nianci. Nianci, can we change it to cream color? Jiang Nianci didn't even blink, directly ordered the butler. Do as Mr. Xiao says, standing at the staircase curve, watching workers carry out the sofa that I had carefully selected half a year ago. Lu Yuchen and Lu Yue like two little tails, following Xiao Jian, excitedly pointing. Uncle Zhen, these cushions must also be changed. The ones Dad bought are so ugly. Xiao Jian gently patted the children's heads. Okay, change everything. My fingers slightly tightened, but quickly relaxed. Those pillows were from when Jiang Nianci was pregnant. I had hand-stitched each one for her, filled with hypoallergenic cotton, just because their children's skin was sensitive when young. Now they were thrown into the trash without regret. In the following days, this house became increasingly unfamiliar. At the dining table, Xiao Jian sat in my former position, attentively serving food to the children. Occasionally, Jiang Nianci would personally pour him coffee, her slender fingers gently pushing it forward, her eyes carrying tenderness I had never received. In the evening, the living room lights would dim. 4 people huddled on the sofa watching movies. Lu Yue curled up in Xiao Zhen's lap. Lu Yuchen leaned against Jiang Niance's shoulder. Laughter constantly rang out. When I walked by, they didn't even glance at me once, as if I were invisible. Until one afternoon, my phone suddenly rang repeatedly. The young master and miss had allergic reactions at school. An ambulance just took them to the hospital. When I arrived, the children had already been taken to the emergency room. Jiang Nianxi stood in the hallway, her windbreaker casually draped over her elbow, her eyes churning with cold anger. Lu Hao Yu, her voice lowered, carrying suppressed fury. What the hell are you doing? I was bewildered. What? They're allergic to mangoes. Don't you know? Why did you give them mango juice? Not me. I looked straight into her eyes. I never bring mangoes home. Since the first time our child was hospitalized for eating mango, I've been extremely careful. Repeatedly reminded everyone not to give the children mangoes. Even the school cafeteria menu I personally checked. How could I make such a basic mistake? Not you. Jiang Nianxi laughed coldly. Then who? The housekeeper. Or did they seek their own death? I opened my mouth about to speak. The nurse pushed the door open. The children are awake. In the hospital room, Lu Yuchen and Lu Yue lay on hospital beds with pale faces. Seeing us enter, their eyes flickered slightly. What happened? Jiang Nianxi asked in a low voice. The children glanced at each other. Suddenly both pointed at me. It was Dad. There was mango in the cake Dad bought earlier. My entire body stiffened, looking at them in disbelief. What are you saying? It was Dad. Lu Yue cried out tearfully. Dad clearly knew we're allergic, but still deliberately made us eat it. Lu Yuchen also nodded vigorously. So evil. My fingers gripped the doorframe tightly, knuckles turning white. Lu Yuchen, Lu Yue. What do you know what you're saying? You better tell the truth right now. Enough. Jiang Nianxi suddenly stood up, one hand gripping my wrist. Lu Haoyu, is this how you father? Not only harming them, but forcing them to lie. I didn't. My voice trembled slightly. You're saying they're falsely accusing you? She laughed coldly. They're only how old? Not even this much responsibility. Are you worthy of being a father? The children suddenly started crying. Jiang Nianxi immediately released me, turned back to comfort them, but they cried even harder. Their little faces flushed red. Mom, Lu Yue sobbed. I feel so uncomfortable. How can you feel better? Jiang Nianxi asked softly, her fingers gently wiping her daughter's tears. Lu Yuchen looked at me with red eyes. Dad is also allergic to mangoes. Give Dad mango juice. Let Dad suffer like us. My heart turned ice cold. I looked at Jiang Nianxi. The coldness in her eyes made my whole body shiver. All right. She stood up straight and snapped her fingers. Two bodyguards immediately pushed through the door. Hold him down. Before I could react, I was pressed into a chair. The bodyguard grabbed my chin, forcing my mouth open. A glass of mango juice was poured in. The sweet liquid flooded my windpipe. I coughed violently, my throat burning. Red rashes spread quickly across my skin at a visible speed. My face began to swell. Breathing became difficult. I painfully clawed at my throat, eyes blurry looking towards Jiang Nianxi. She just stood there coldly observing, with no intention of stopping. The children had stopped crying, now excitedly clapping. Serves you right. Let Dad suffer too. Before darkness descended, the last thing I saw was Jiang Nianxi. I don't know how long it had been. I woke up on a hospital bed, my throat burning, my face still covered with red allergy rashes. Outside the hospital room, a familiar voice rang out. It was Xiao Jian. Nianxi, I really didn't know they were allergic. I just wanted to make them fruit juice. It's not your fault. Jiang Nianxi's voice was unimaginably gentle. You didn't know. If I had arrived earlier to explain, it wouldn't have led to your misunderstanding. Mr. Lu, he continued, his tone helpless. Yuchen, Yue, you too. It's all my fault. How could you protect me? By putting everything on your father? The resentful voices of the children rang out clearly. Uncle Jian, I know. I was wrong. Lu Yue said with a sob. We just don't like Dad. That's right. Lu Yuchen also chimed in. Dad always controls us, doesn't let us eat sweets, and makes us sleep on time. We want Dad to go away. My fingers clutched the bedsheet tightly, knuckles white. These were the children I had given up my life to care for all these years. I felt pain like my heart and liver were being torn apart. Tears fell uncontrollably. I clutched my chest for a while before calming down. Right after, my phone suddenly rang. It was a call from the airline confirming ticket information. Mr. Lu, your one-way ticket to Yuncheng has been issued. Would you like to select a seat? Window seat, thank you. I hurriedly wiped away my tears, my voice barely audible. Just as I hung up, the hospital room door was pushed open. Jiang Nianxi entered with steady steps. Who are you talking to? She asked indifferently. I put the phone aside. Friends. Jiang Nianxi didn't ask further, just stood by the bed looking down at me. The incident last time was a misunderstanding. It was Jian who gave them mango juice, but he didn't know. Her tone as calm as if discussing the weather. Let's just put this behind us. My heart felt squeezed by an invisible hand. The pain made it almost impossible to breathe. So the difference between love and indifference is this simple. Jiang Nianxi seemed slightly surprised by my reaction. Paused for a moment, then said, next week the children will go to summer camp. Jian and I will go with them. You go home and wait. She thought I would beg or get angry as usual, but I just calmly nodded. I understand. Jiang Nianxi frowned deeper, seeing my reaction was unusual, but her phone rang at that moment. She looked at the screen display, the company needs me, then left. When the door closed, I finally unclenched my fist. My palm clearly showed 4 crescent-shaped bloody nail marks. These days, my phone began constantly vibrating. All messages from Xiao Jian, streams of photos and videos, recording happy moments at summer camp. In the videos, Lu Yuchen and Lu Yue proudly introduced to their friends, Xiao Jin is our dad. Friends' voices of admiration echoed everywhere. Wow, your dad is so handsome. More handsome than my dad, if you're so lucky. So who's the person who usually picks you up from school? A curious child asked. In the frame, the expressions of Lu Yuchen and Lu Yue froze for a moment. That's the butler who takes care of us. My hands trembled. The glass in my hand fell to the floor. I slowly sat down, looking at the broken pieces on the floor. Suddenly laughed. So, all these years, I was just a free butler. But it's okay. This butler is about to resign. From now on, let the father they love take care of them. A week later, the butler brought Lu Yuchen and Lu Yue back to the villa. The children ran straight to the kitchen as soon as they entered, their faces barely concealing their smugness. Dad, Lu Yue shrieked. Do you know what? Uncle Jian sprained his ankle during the parents' sports meet. Mom was so worried. Lu Yuchen quickly added. Mom rented an entire hospital for Uncle Jean to recover. Even postponed company meetings. Always stayed by his side. I stood in front of the oven, silently listening to the children's boasting, fingers calmly putting on heat-resistant gloves. Are you even listening? Lu Yue stamped her foot in dissatisfaction. Mom treats Uncle Jian so well, better than you. Ting! The timer bell interrupted her non-stop talking. Sweet fragrance instantly spread throughout the kitchen. The children's eyes lit up, immediately pressing closer. It's cake. Lu Yuchen stood on tiptoes. I want to eat. I took out the baking tray. The edges of the cake were actioned, slightly burnt. I frowned, directly dumped it in the trash. Lu Yue screamed. Why did you throw it away? It's burnt, not edible. I calmly said. You're lying. Lu Yuchen angrily kicked the trash can. You did it on purpose, just because you're still angry about last time. So you don't want to give us something nice to eat. Dad. Lu Yue's little face reddened. We don't need a dad like you. I took off the heat-resistant gloves. My heart felt squeezed by an invisible hand. I looked at the two children in front of me, the children I had devoted myself to caring for, suddenly feeling extremely alienated from them. Just as well, I said softly. I don't need children like you either. From now on, go find Xiao Jian. After saying this, I turned and walked towards the stairs. Behind me came the terrified screams of the two children. We hate you. We hate you forever. My steps faltered, but I didn't turn back. Just as I stepped on the third stair, my back was suddenly pushed hard. In the whirling whirl, my body fell heavily down the stairs. Intense pain immediately enveloped my entire body. Warm liquid flowed from my forehead, blurring my vision. The children stood at the top of the stairs, their faces wearing evil smiles. Serves you right, Lu Yue clapped. That's what you get for not letting us eat cake. Lu Yuchen made an ugly face as if playing. I struggled to push myself up. Fresh blood ran down my chin, dripping onto the floor. I looked at the two little demons before me, unable to connect them with the dying children in the hospital years ago, whom I had desperately sought doctors to save. The front door was suddenly pushed open. What's going on here? Jiang Niance's deep voice echoed. Behind her was Xiao Zhan. Seeing this scene, they were both stunned. Mom, the two children, immediately changed their expressions, running over crying. Dad threw away the cake, wouldn't let us eat, and said he doesn't want us anymore. Wah wah. Jiang Niance's eyes stopped at the cake in the trash, then looked at my bloody state, frowning. Lu Hao Yu, why do you insist on fighting with two children? Her voice was ice cold. Saying such things to your own children. How are you worthy of being a father? I leaned against the wall, slowly standing up. Fresh blood stained my collar. I looked at Jiang Nianqi, suddenly smiled. In your eyes. I was never worthy. My voice was hoarse. You always saw me, just as a tool to care for the children, right? Jiang Niance's pupils contracted. Well, your husband should be Xiao Zhen. The children also only want him as their father. So ill step down. Fulfill your family of four's wishes. The atmosphere instantly froze. Jiang Niance's expression became extremely unpleasant, staring at me, as if truly seeing me for the first time. Lu Hao Yu, don't forget. Her voice was cold and deep. Our families arranged our marriage back then. There was never any love. What do you want me to give you? Love? She laughed coldly. I also laughed, and laughed, until tears fell. Yes, you're right. I am the fool. The idiot. Nianci, stop it. Xiao Jian timely grabbed Jiang Niance's arm. The children are frightened. Let's take them upstairs first. Jiang Nianci looked at me deeply, finally turned and picked up one child in each arm, led Xiao Jian away. I watched their backs, blood still dripping. I now deeply regret marrying Jiang Nianci. I regret having children with her. This life, I absolutely won't repeat the mistake. From now on, ill live only for myself. The next day was Lu Yuchen's birthday party, held at the most luxurious hotel in the city center. As usual, Jiang Nianqi rented an entire floor, throwing a grand birthday party for Lu Yuchen. I stood in the corner of the room, watching Lu Yuchen and Lu Yue, one on each side, holding Xiao Jian's hands, like two happy little birds flying around him. The children stuck to Xiao Jin throughout the event, deliberately abandoning me, their biological father, to one side. Jiang Nianqi stood not far away, her slender fingers holding a wine glass, her eyes occasionally falling on Xiao Jian. In her eyes was tenderness I had never received. CEO Jiang is truly passionate. After so many years, her eyes still only see Mr. Xiao. That's right, The children are just like her. In their eyes, there's only Uncle Jian. The guests' conversations clearly reach my ears. I was college friends with CEO Jiang and Mr. Xiao. Back when CEO Jiang and Mr. Xiao were together, it was so passionate and grand. They almost got engaged before graduation. Oh, I see. Someone beside me suddenly understood. A white moonlight is a white moonlight. Even without the title of husband, he will always be the most important person. There are people like this. No matter how hard others try to squeeze in, even having children doesn't matter. Still can't win the wife's heart, I think, in this life. He's destined to be lonely forever. I silently listened, my heart wrapped in a thick layer of ice, calm, but no longer in pain. I took a deep breath, turned to walk towards the elevator. Just as the elevator door was about to close, a hand suddenly reached in. Xiao Jin's leather shoes stepped inside, the corner of his mouth slightly curved. The cooling-off period for divorce ends in 3 more days. Will you keep your promise and leave? I pressed the first floor button. Of course, I am more eager to leave than anyone. Xiao Jin finally revealed a satisfied smile. Rest assured, I'll take good care of this family in your place. Anyway, Nancy and the children don't like you. They'll gradually forget you. The elevator slowly descended. I didn't respond. Suddenly, boom, a loud explosion. The elevator shook violently, then plunged into darkness. Help! Xiao Jian screamed. Panicking, he took out his phone. Nancy, save me, the elevator is broken. I hit the wall hard, my forehead sending waves of intense pain, warm liquid flowing down my cheek. I don't know how long passed. Outside came the sound of hurried footsteps. Is everyone inside okay? The rescue team's voice came through the elevator door. Save us quickly. Xiao Jin banged on the elevator door. My leg is trapped. The sound of metal prying the door rang painfully in my ears. A blinding light shone in. A rescue worker poked his head in to assess the situation, his expression serious. CEO Jiang, both men's legs are trapped by the deformed door, but time is critical. We can only rescue one person first. Who do you want? Through my blurry vision, I saw Jiang Nancy leading the children, standing behind the rescue. Her eyes fixed on Xiao Jian, without hesitation. Save Jin. Save Uncle Jin first. Lu Yuchen and Lu Yue, crying while pulling the rescuer's sleeve. Quick, save him. The rescuer frowned. CEO Jiang, young master, young miss. This one is more seriously injured. We still recommend rescuing him first. I said, save Jian. Jiang Niance's voice was ice cold. The rescue team sighed, had to reach in and pull Xiao Jian. I watched them, carefully pulling Xiao Jian out, while the elevator door, having lost half its support, made terrifying creaking sounds. The last thing I saw was Jiang Niance's back supporting Xiao Jian as they left, and the image of the 2 children cheering with joy. When I opened my eyes again, the dazzling light made me squint. The smell of disinfectant filled my nostrils. In my ears was the regular beep-beep of the heart monitor. The doctor came to check my pupils. 3 broken ribs. Fortunate to be rescued in time. Otherwise, your life would be lost. I tried to move. Intense pain immediately spread from my chest throughout my body. The strange thing was, I couldn't shed a single tear. Perhaps the pain had reached its limit. Even my heart was numb. 3 days later, Jiang Nancy came to discharge me from the hospital. She stood at the doorway of the hospital room, her suit immaculate, her eyes resting on my bandaged chest. After a long silence, she finally spoke. Jin needs to play piano in the future. I couldn't let his leg be injured. I slowly raised my head to look at her. So, I had to make it difficult for you. She spoke in a calm tone, as if discussing the weather. You're the homemaker. Even if you have difficulty walking, the impact isn't significant. I said nothing. It was just the first time. I saw so clearly. The woman I had loved for half my life. Her appearance still as elegant as an idol, but in those eyes there had never been my reflection. Jiang Niancy, my voice was hoarse. If I had died that day, would you have cared? Jiang Niancy frowned deeper, didn't answer. She took out a black card from her vest pocket, placed it on the bedside table. Don't ask such meaningless questions. This is compensation, as long as you behave. Raise the children. You'll always be my husband. I suddenly laughed. In my previous life, I carried the title of her husband until death. But so what? The lonely one was still me. The forgotten one was still me. The one burned to death was still me. So in this life, I despise being her husband. I want to live better, more brilliantly. I want someone who truly loves me. I couldn't hold back anymore. Almost blurted out that I didn't need her anymore. Jiang Niancy. The phone ring suddenly cut off my words. Jiang Niancy answered. Xiao Jin's gentle voice came through the speaker. Niancy, the children and I are waiting for you at the restaurant. We have a surprise. Her eyes instantly softened. It'll be right there. She hung up. Jiang Niancy looked at her watch, her tone becoming cold again. I have to go. The driver is waiting downstairs. My fingertips unconsciously pressed into my palm. In the end, I still didn't speak up to stop her. Let it be. Anyway, Xiao Jian would soon tell her. The divorce agreement is now effective. I don't need her anymore. Even if the 2 children see me as a stranger, I don't need them either. Mrs. Wang, I pressed the call button. Help me in 1 hour. I deleted all of Jiang Niance's contact information, left the black card in the hospital room drawer when the plane took off. The clouds outside the window were dyed brilliant gold and red by the sunset. I looked at the sparkling sky, smiled and closed my eyes. In this life, I will never bow down for anyone. The days of humbling myself for love, let them follow this plane. vanish forever into the ninth cloud. Ahead of me will be a completely new future that belongs only to me. I arrived in Yuncheng. This city, though unfamiliar, gave me a sense of security. I researched carefully for half a month. On a quiet street in the old district, opened a used bookstore called How You. The shop wasn't big, but its advantage was good lighting. I spent 3 months decorating, transforming the old store into a cozy reading space. The rainy season in Yuncheng was very long. I stood before the glass door of the bookstore, watching the drizzling rain outside, lost in thought. The wind chime at the door suddenly rang clearly. Welcome. I unconsciously turned around, but when I clearly saw the visitor, I was slightly stunned. The woman at the door had a slender figure, holding a long-handled black umbrella. Water from the umbrella dripped onto the floor. She was carrying a little girl about 5 or 6 years old. The little girl had 2 small braids, shyly nestling against her. Do you have picture books suitable for this age? The woman put away her umbrella, her voice gentle. Now, I could see her face clearly, clear features, eyes and brows like a painting. Long hair loosely draped over her shoulders, her eyes carrying a gentle smile. I was stunned. Chao Qinyan, senior. The woman was clearly a bit surprised too. Observed me for a moment, suddenly as if realizing. Lu Hao Yu. Memories rushed back like the tide. Chao Xinyan, the famous figure from the medical department, 2 years ahead of me, back then known as a talented woman at the university, not only with excellent grades, but skilled at piano. The dream girl of countless male students. What a coincidence. I smiled, pointing at the little girl in her arms. Is this your daughter? Yao Yao. Chao Xinyan gently patted the girl's back. Yao Yao, say hello to the uncle. The little girl raised her head, revealing a small face like carved jade. Shyly said, Uncle. Good. My voice softened. My heart instantly melted. I sat down, looking at Yao Yao at eye level. Hello Yao Yao. What kind of book would you like to find? Uncle will recommend some for you. Yao Yao blinked her big eyes, suddenly reached out her small hand, gently touched my cheek. Uncle, you're so handsome. Just like my dad, she said softly. The atmosphere instantly froze. Chao Xinyan's expression changed slightly. She sat down and hugged Yao Yao tighter. I am sorry. Her father passed away from illness a few years ago. I choked up, looking at the fatherless little girl before me. Suddenly remembered Lu Yuchen and Lu Yue. They still have Xiao Jian, but this child has nothing. It's okay, I said gently, reaching out to softly pat Yao Yao's head. Yao Yao, do you like fairy tales? Uncle has many beautiful picture books here. Yao Yao nodded, her eyes brightening. For the next half hour, I patiently introduced various picture books to Yao Yao. The little girl gradually relaxed, even actively took my hand, asked me to read stories to her. Chao Xinyan stood beside, her gentle eyes watching this scene. When I read to the little prince, Yao Yao was already leaning against me, listening intently. Your storytelling is very special. When checking out, Chao Xinyan said gently. Yao Yao is usually very shy, but she's so comfortable with you. I smiled, handing the wrapped books to Yao Yao. Seeing Yao Yao, I also feel very close to her. I wish Yao Yao were my daughter. As soon as I said it, I regretted it. But Chao Xinyan just nodded thoughtfully. Didn't ask more. Can we come often? Before leaving, Yao Yao unexpectedly grabbed the corner of my shirt, looking up with her little face to ask. I knelt down, gently pinched her small nose. Of course you can. Uncle always welcomes you. Chao Xinyan opened her umbrella, carrying Yao Yao into the rain. Yao Yao lay on her shoulder, continuously waving toward the bookstore, until they disappeared around the corner. I stood at the door watching the 2 figures vanish in the rain, my heart stirring with warmth. I hadn't felt for a long time. Afterward, Chao Xinyan and Yao Yao became regulars at the bookstore. Almost every weekend, they would come to the store and stay for an hour or two. Yao Yao would usually sit quietly on a small sofa in the corner, holding a picture book, reading intently, while Chao Jinyan would select a medical textbook, sitting beside me reading in silence. Sometimes I would make them a pot of flower tea. Chao Xinyan would politely thank me each time. Yao Yao would sweetly say, "Thank you, uncle," then continue bowing her head to read. One beautiful sunny Saturday, Chao Xinyan suggested taking Yao Yao to an amusement park. Come with us. Her eyes curved upward, sincerely inviting. Yao Yao keeps mentioning she wants to go with you. I was about to refuse, but seeing the expectant look in Yao Yao's eyes, my heart softened. The amusement park was crowded with people. Yao Yao held Chao Xinyan's hand with one hand, and mine with the other, excitedly running back and forth. We rode the carousel, rode the bumper cars, and waited in line together for the Ferris wheel. When the Ferris wheel reached its highest point, Yao Yao suddenly pointed to the distant clouds and said, "Dad lives there." My heart tightened. Chao Xinyan gently hugged Yao Yao, softly said, "Dad is watching Yao Yao from heaven. Dad hopes Yao Yao is happy every day." Yao Yao nodded, suddenly turned to me. "Uncle, can you be Yao Yao's new dad?" The atmosphere instantly froze, not knowing how to respond. Chao Xinyan hurriedly intervened. "Yao Yao, don't talk nonsense." "I am not talking nonsense." Yao Yao's little face reddened. "I like Uncle. Uncle likes Yao Yao too, right?" I looked at the stubborn expression on the little girl's face, suddenly remembered Lu Yuchen. He was like that too. Once he decided something, would persist to the end. "Uncle certainly likes Yao Yao," I said gently, "but a father is unique. No one can replace your father." Yao Yao half understanding, nodded, then leaned back against Chao Xinyan. On the way home, Yao Yao slept in the back seat. Chao Xinyan drove, occasionally glancing at me through the rearview mirror. "Thank you for going with her today," she said softly. "It's been a long time since she's been this happy." I shook my head. I enjoyed it too. Outside the car window, the sunset dyed the clouds brilliant gold and red. I unconsciously raised my hand to shield from the sunday. My sleeve slipped down, revealing the scar on my wrist. Qiao Xinyan's eyes paused on the scar for a second, then quickly looked away. But for the rest of the journey, her eyebrows remained furrowed. A week later, Qiao Xinyan came alone to the bookstore, holding a thermos. "This is calming tea I made myself." She handed me the thermos, gently said, "Perhaps it will help you sleep better." I was surprised. Confused, I asked, "How did you know I don't sleep well?" Although I've now left that place, but the things from before, I seem to have never forgotten. On many nights, I wake up from nightmares. Qiao Xinyan pushed up her glasses, her eyes behind the lenses warm and clear. "Did you forget I am a doctor? Actually, you can ask me for help with anything. I think we can consider ourselves good friends now, right?" I unconsciously pulled down my sleeve, covering the scar on my wrist. "I'm sorry, I shouldn't ask too much," Qiao Xinyan quickly said, "just as a doctor, and also as a friend. I hope you can take better care of yourself." I was silent for a moment, finally smiled, eyes curving. "I understand. Thank you for the tea. In the future, if I really need help, I'll definitely ask you. Don't worry." Afterward, Qiao Xinyan came more frequently, sometimes bringing Yao Yao, sometimes alone. Each visit she would bring a small gift, a bouquet of wildflowers, a box of handmade cookies, or a freshly brewed pot of calming tea. I gradually got used to this companionship, sometimes looking at Qiao Jinyan and Yao Yao, reading in the bookstore. I suddenly had the feeling this was the life I had always wished for. Simple, peaceful, full of love. One rainy night, I was arranging the bookshelves. The doorbell suddenly rang. Qiao Jinyan stood outside, completely soaked, holding feverish Yao Yao in her arms. "Sorry to bother you so late." Her voice trembled slightly. "Yao Yao kept asking to see you. She said only your storytelling would help her sleep." I quickly invited them in. I took the burning hot Yao Yao from her, looking at the little girl's flushed face. Feeling extremely heartbroken, I gently patted her back. "Uncle is here now. Don't be afraid, Yao Yao." That night, I sat by Yao Yao's bed, gently telling stories. Qiao Xinyan sat beside me, her gentle eyes watching us. When Yao Yao finally fell asleep, the rain outside the window had stopped. Moonlight filtered through the curtain gap, casting a strip of silver light on the floor. "Thank you," Qiao Xinyan said softly. I shook my head about to stand up, but my legs were numb from sitting too long. I staggered, almost falling. Qiao Xinyan quickly caught me. When I stood up straight, only then realized the distance between us was a bit too close. Both of us silently blushed, saying nothing, turned away. After I disappeared for a whole month, Jiang Nianxi finally realized something was wrong. She originally thought I was just playing a game of haste makes waste, until she discovered she couldn't contact me by any means. Only then did she take it somewhat seriously. But after calling my old friends, all said they hadn't seen me. She anxiously hung up, turned and entered her study, opened the computer, checked my bank account information. The screen showed the black card she had given me. The balance always remained zero. When I left, I only took my own savings, not touching a cent of the Jiang family's money. HMPH, so stubborn. She laughed coldly, turning off the computer. "Just wants us to come looking for him. Such childish tactics. Won't work at all." The next morning at breakfast, Lu Yuchen and Lu Yue chattered about school life. Xiao Jian gently served them food, occasionally looking up to smile at Jiang Nianxi. This scene appeared harmonious and perfect. But for some reason, Jiang Nianxi always felt something was missing. "Mom, next week my school has a parents' sports day. Can you go with Uncle Zhan?" Lu Yue blinked her big eyes and asked. "Of course." Jiang Nianxi answered automatically, then paused for a moment. "Who used to go with you before?" "It was your father, wasn't it?" Both children simultaneously showed disgust. "It was him, but we don't want him to come anyway." Lu Yuchen pouted, his little face very cold. "All day just staying home, doing laundry and cooking. Doesn't even want to go outside. He doesn't even know how to take care of himself. We absolutely don't want him to come." Lu Yue chimed in. "Uncle Zhan always dresses so stylishly and handsome. All our classmates are jealous of us." Xiao Jian smiled awkwardly, poured a cup of coffee for Jiang Nianxi. "Nianxi, try this. I told the housekeeper to brew it according to your taste." Jiang Nianxi took a sip. Her eyebrows couldn't help but furrow. Too sweet. Previously, her coffee had always been hand-ground by me, never making this kind of mistake. I remember she drinks coffee without sugar, only adds. "What's wrong? Not to your taste?" Xiao Jian asked attentively. "It's fine." She put the cup down, finally saying nothing more, just adjusted her cuff. "I am going to the company in the following days." On the surface, the Jiang household remained normal, but subtle changes were silently occurring. Xiao Jian had never done housework. After several attempts, he ended up delegating everything to the housekeeper. Though everything in the house still seemed to function well, only Jiang Nianxi and a few sensitive people noticed. Something had silently changed. There were no more soft, comfortable clothes in the house, ironed perfectly flat. The glasses of milk before bedtime from before, breakfast meticulously prepared to each person's taste, all no longer appeared. although life faced no major problems. But the house seemed to lack the familiar warmth it once had, until one day, Jiang Nianqi attended a business party. Returning home late at night, she staggered to the sofa and sat down, waving her hand to her assistant. "Nothing more for you to do here. Go home." When the door closed, the room immediately plunged into silence. Jiang Nianqi tiredly rubbed her eyebrows, unconsciously called out, "Is anyone there?" After speaking, she suddenly realized, today, when returning home, things seemed unusual. No wall lamp left on for her. No hot bowl of hangover soup on the table. "Mrs. Wang, I said I had a dinner party tonight. Why is nothing prepared in the house?" She called the housekeeper's room, asking in a deep voice. Shortly after, Mrs. Wang hurried to the living room, awkwardly said, "I am sorry. Mrs. Jiang, previously when you returned late, everything was prepared by the master himself. So, we forgot to prepare. And the hangover soup you mentioned. The master personally bought ingredients, watched over the kitchen for hours cooking, never letting us intervene. If you want some, I'll look up how to make it right away." Jiang Nian's heart felt struck by something. A strange emotion suddenly arose. So, all those things were prepared by him bit by bit. Before, although she knew I was dedicated to the family, but never until this moment had the feeling of regret been so clear, even felt somewhat indebted to me. Jiang Nianqi stood in the middle of the kitchen, cold light reflecting from the marble countertop. Shining on her, Mrs. Wang stood to one side, not daring to breathe heavily. "So for these 6 years, he always silently did all these things, but never said a word?" she asked, her voice hoarse. Mrs. Wang carefully nodded. "The master never let us intervene. He said your stomach was weak. Restaurant hangover soup was too heavy. He had to personally monitor the heat." Jiang Nian's finger unconsciously tapped lightly on the table. Exactly 6 years. Every time she returned from business dinners, no matter how late, there was always a warm bowl of hangover soup on the table. Never thought that was the result of me staying up until late night. "Miss, would you like me to try making it?" the butler inquired. "No need." Jiang Nianqi turned toward the stairs. "Everyone go rest." Passing by the master bedroom, she heard Xiao Zhan's even breathing. He turned over in his sleep. The silk blanket made a soft rustling sound. Jiang Nianqi stood at the door. Somehow suddenly remembered me. In the early days when she first came home, she didn't want to see at all the husband from this arranged marriage, so often found excuses to slip away, frequently not coming home. No matter when she returned, she would find me in the living room, quietly waiting for her. I always slept lightly. The slightest sound would wake me. Sometimes when she returned at midnight, she would find me curled up on the sofa, already asleep, the TV still on, volume turned to the lowest. At that time, she didn't like me at all. Even seeing me like that, wouldn't even glance at me, would just go to her room. But I did such things for many years, until later, she finally stopped for me, even covered me with a blanket. When did everything start to change? It seemed to be after Xiao Jian returned, because she frequently went to handle matters for Jean. Gradually, she came home less and less. Once Xiao Jian proposed wanting to see the 2 children, she immediately brought them along. It seemed from then on, they had more and more contact with Jean. Even most of their time was spent with Xiao Jian. It's not that I never questioned. I angrily said, "You are my wife. Yu Chen and Yu Wei are my children. Why do you go to someone else every day?" Pausing for a moment, I seemed unable to continue speaking. Eyes reddened. "You all like this. I can't even tell who you actually consider as husband, as father." But at that time, she only thought about Jian just returning home. Hearing my questioning, she found me even more unreasonable. Coldly opened her mouth. "Have you forgotten? If you hadn't interfered, Jian should have been the man of this family." I stood stunned in place, looking at her eyes, carrying an indescribable disappointment. At that time, seeing my pained and disbelieving expression, her heart also wavered slightly. Just that Jean was the one she truly loved, so she didn't care. I stood in place, without hesitation turned and left. Afterward, I never actively mentioned this. Again, as if that conversation had never happened, she felt very satisfied, thinking I was still sensible. Thinking this, she suddenly felt as if possessed, pushing open the children's room door. Lu Yuchen and Lu Yuwei were sleeping soundly, their little heads leaning against each other. The bedside frame was a photo of them with Xiao Jian. Bright smiles. My photos had been taken down at some point, looking at where my photos once hung, now empty. For some reason, her heart also became empty. She didn't return to the master bedroom, but went alone to the living room. Cold moonlight shone through the window. Jiang Nianxi took a bottle of whiskey from the liquor cabinet, directly took a swig from the bottle. The spicy liquid burned her throat, but couldn't extinguish the restlessness in her heart. After that day, Jiang Nianxi often used work as an excuse, gradually came home less. She was frequently absent from home. Xiao Zhan became more comfortable, either at the gym every day, or taking care of his appearance. Lu Yuchen and Lu Yuwei no longer had someone to take them to school. Previously, Xiao Zhan, to win their favor, often secretly asked for school leave for them, taking them out to play. The 2 children also imitated this. Stopped going to school, skipping school all day to play outside. Xiao Jian knew about it, completely unconcerned. The young master and miss have been skipping school recently. The teacher's phone has called the house, saying they hope the miss and you can manage your children more. Young master and miss don't listen to us servants. Could you come home to advise them? At least get them to go to school. All right, I know about this matter. I'll handle it later. Xiao Jian lazily leaned on the sofa, admiring his newly permed hair. No need to tell Nancy about this. Work is busy enough. I don't want her to worry more. The phone hung up. A friend beside him teased. No way. Are you really going to handle those two stepchildren? I say marrying a rich woman is good enough. It's just these two kids left. Too troublesome. Who said I would handle it? Xiao Jin yawned lazily, eyes full of cunning. I hope they become as bad as possible, so they won't compete for inheritance with my children in the future. After speaking, he called the class teacher of Lu Yuchen and Lu Yue. Teacher, recently my children are handling some family matters. They haven't been to school. You don't need to worry too much. You know our family situation. They don't need to focus too much on school. Besides, the children's mother has been very busy lately. If there's anything, just tell me directly. I don't tell her. After hanging up, he finally felt at ease, quickly forgot about this matter. That evening, after the gym, he rarely returned home. The living room was chaotic with the children's noise. Seeing him return, the two children happily ran over. Uncle Jean. Uncle finally came back. We missed you so much. But what they didn't expect was, Xiao Jian, who always smiled gently before, now had an extremely cold expression. He responded curtly, I know, I am busy. You two play by yourselves. Lu Yuchen thought he was still like before, affectionate with himself and his sister, angrily threw his toy to the ground. No, Uncle must play with us. Unexpectedly hearing this, Xiao Jian's expression suddenly became very frightening. Eyes that were always gentle before, now contained no trace of a smile. What did you say? Who do you think you're shouting at? Do you know, I am about to marry your mother, become the new man of this family. Your mother never liked you. That useless father, along with you too, before long, will also be disliked by her. The two children fearfully hug each other tightly, not even daring to breathe heavily, no longer showing the appearance of once bullying me. Good that you understand. Remember, in this house, from now on, everything must follow my orders. Raise your voice at me again. I don't blame me for being impolite. After speaking, he finally gave the two children a warning look, coldly turned and went upstairs. From then on, under Xiao Jin's direction, the household servants also gradually disregarded the two children. Not only did no one take them to school, even gradually, even their 3 meals a day weren't specially prepared for them. They could only wait until Xiao Jian finished eating, before being allowed to eat some leftover food. The sun scorched Jingxi City. The air conditioners in the Jiang Villa hummed in operation. Lu Yuchen and Lu Yue lay on the playroom carpet, arranging Lego, occasionally glancing at Xiao Jian adjusting his tie in front of the mirror. Uncle Jian. Lu Yue timidly spoke up. Can we go eat ice cream? You promised. Last week, Jiang Nianqi bought a new watch for Uncle Jian. At that time, he was happy, had kicked the children lying on the floor, saying he would take them for ice cream later. But Xiao Jian didn't even turn around, irritably said, Can't you see I am busy? But Lu Yuchen gathered all his courage, timidly spoke up. Last week you said you'd take us? Too troublesome. Xiao Jian suddenly turned around, the tie in his hand crumpled. All day just eating. Look how skinny you've become. The two children fearfully shrank back. Since Dad left, they no longer felt Uncle Jean's care. The gentle, friendly smile from before had disappeared. Instead, were irritated frowns and harsh scolding. Get back to your room. Xiao Jin pulled out a tissue to wipe his fingers. Frowning shouted, Just seeing you is annoying. Tears welled up in Lu Yue's eyes, but she didn't dare cry aloud. The last time she cried, Uncle Jian had pinched her thigh and threatened if she dared tell her mother, he would throw away all her favorite toys. That day, Jiang Nianqi rarely announced she would come home to sleep. When she arrived home in the evening, the children had gone to bed. Xiao Xin wore a bathrobe to greet her, his body emanating the gentle scent of aftershave. His meticulously cared for skin looked very smooth. Work is finally done. You've finally come home. He spoke gently, taking her coat. The merger project had some issues. You'll be able to come home from now on. Jiang Nianqi removed her coat and looked around, suddenly asked, Where are the children? Haven't seen them in a while. Sleeping early? Don't worry. I've been taking very good care of them. Xiao Jin wrapped his arm around her waist, as if casually saying, Nianqi, tomorrow there's a charity event. I need a suitable wristwatch. Not hearing the complete sentence, Jiang Nianqi just absently nodded. Choose one yourself. Use my black card. The next morning at breakfast, she finally saw the children come down to eat. What puzzled Jiang Nianqi was, Lu Yuchen and Lu Yue were unusually quiet. Looking closely, the children seemed to have lost weight recently. Their chins had become sharper. Jiang Nianqi put down her coffee cup, frowned, and asked, What's wrong? Are you feeling unwell somewhere? No. No. Hearing her ask this, Lu Yuchen immediately shook his head in panic, his hand trembling slightly, the spoon hitting the bowl, making a clear sound. Xiao Jian came from the Kala's AHSAGO kitchen, carrying a fruit plate, glancing over, smiling slightly. Nianqi, don't worry. The children are fine. He bent down to affectionately pat Lu Yuchen's head, his tone extremely gentle. Right, Yuchen? Lu Yuchen's entire body stiffened, softly answered, Yes. Jiang Nianqi's phone suddenly rang. She looked at the screen, stood up, and left the table. The company needs me. I'll go first. As soon as the door closed, Xiao Jin's smile immediately disappeared. He yanked the milk cup from Lu Yue's hand, his face full of displeasure. Drinking so slowly? Want to be late for school? Hurry up and eat. your mother's home. These days, you better go to school properly. Don't cause any trouble. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. The threat worked effectively. Lu Yue trembled with fear, quickly stuffed bread into her mouth, but accidentally choked, her face turning red. Useless. Xiao Jian grimaced with disgust, not even bothering to look again. Shouted, so useless, just like your father. In the office, Jiang Nianqi was handling work when her phone suddenly vibrated. It was a call from the butler. Miss, young master has a fever, 40.5 degrees. We're really worried something might happen. Jiang Nianqi frowned, asked, have you called a doctor? We have. But Mr. Xiao said it wasn't urgent. He went to a party. What? Jiang Nian's expression suddenly changed, her voice somewhat surprised. It'll be right there. Have the family doctor check him first. When she hurried home in the rain, she indeed found Lu Yuchen feverish with a red face, his small body still shaking uncontrollably. The family doctor was giving him an IV, his expression serious. Why is it so serious? Mrs. Jiang has had a high fever for 4 hours already. Any longer could lead to pneumonia. The doctor lowered his voice, with a serious expression said, the child's constitution is already weak. He should have been treated earlier. Jiang Nian's chest tightened. She remembered when I was still there. As soon as the child felt slightly unwell, I would notice, often without needing a thermometer. I could accurately determine the fever's severity. Where is Zhao Jian? Why don't I see him? The butler stammered, finally said. Mr. Xiao said, it was just a minor cold. He went to President Wang's birthday party. Couldn't refuse. Jiang Nianqi took her phone, called Xiao Zian. The phone rang for a long time before being answered. The background noise was still loud laughter and music. Nianqi, Xiao Zian's voice full of joy, slightly drunk, seemingly completely unconcerned about this matter. Lu Yuchen's fever is nearly 40 degrees. Where are you? Don't worry, it'll come right away. This was the first time Jiang Nianqi showed a bad attitude toward him. Xiao Jian's voice immediately became panicked and pitiful. I am really sorry, Nianqi. I thought it was just a regular fever. It'll come home right now. An hour later, Xiao Jian hurriedly returned, still wearing his party suit. Red-eyed, he approached Jiang Nianqi. With a remorseful expression said, Nianqi, I really didn't know Yuchen was so sick. Jiang Nianqi looked at the elaborate makeup and the lingering smell of alcohol on him, her chest rising with discomfort. But facing this face she had dreamed of for so long, she still softened. Just this once. Be more careful next time. Late at night, Lu Yuchen's fever finally broke. Jiang Nian's phone rang again. It was an urgent call from her assistant. Mrs. Jiang, the company has an emergency situation requiring your immediate attention. Jiang Nianqi looked at her son sleeping on the hospital bed, hesitated for a moment. Jean, take care of the boy for a while. Xiao Jian obediently nodded, his expression unchanged. Don't worry, it'll take good care of Yuchen. Jiang Nianqi hurriedly left, but when searching her pockets at the hospital entrance, she discovered she had forgotten her car keys in the hospital room. She went back. Just as she reached the door, she heard Xiao Jian's deep voice. Little brat, what are you pretending for? Making me leave my party. Lu Yuchen's weak voice rang out amid sobs. I am sorry, Uncle Jian. I didn't mean to. I am warning you. Don't act pitiful in front of your mother. Xiao Jian's voice was frighteningly cold, without any emotion. If you dare say anything wrong, see how I deal with you. I won't say anything. Lu Yuchen sobbed. Listen, please don't hit me. HMPH, you're sensible, just like your contemptible father. Standing outside the door hearing everything, Jiang Nianqi was stunned. The image of her once beloved completely collapsed in an instant. The door was kicked open forcefully, making a loud noise. Xiao Jin turned around in fright, facing Jiang Nianqi's angry eyes. Nianqi, his face immediately paled. Flustered, he said, let me explain. I was just... Jiang Nianqi had already quickly approached. A hard slap landed on his face. Xiao Jin staggered and hit the wall, his meticulously styled hair in disarray. I never expected behind my back. This is the kind of good father you are. Today you dare hit my child, threaten my child. Tomorrow will you dare climb over my head? Get out. Jiang Nianqi's voice was ice cold. Today, you get out with all your belongings from the Jiang house. Don't let me see you again. Xiao Zian hurriedly crawled up from the floor, pleading, Nianqi, I was just too impatient. I truly love these two children. In the future, it'll treat them well. Jiang Nianqi laughed coldly. Hitting, scolding, threatening is your love? She turned toward Lu Yuchen on the hospital bed. The child fearfully curled up, his little face full of tears. Jiang Nianqi's heart felt cut by a knife. How blind had she been, not to discover how her children lived in fear. Mom, Lu Yuchen timidly reached out his hand, eyes full of fear. I was wrong. Listen to uncle. Don't abandon me. Jiang Nianqi knelt on one knee beside the hospital bed, holding her son's burning hand tightly. It's not your fault. It's mother's fault. She turned to look at Xiao Jian, her eyes full of disappointment and disgust, making him involuntarily step back. I never thought you would be this kind of person. Xiao Jian still wanted to defend himself. Jiang Nianqi had already pressed the call button. Security, please escort this person out immediately. When Xiao Jian's cries finally disappeared at the end of the hallway, Jiang Nianqi tiredly sat beside the hospital bed. Lu Yuchen carefully pulled her sleeve, crying pitifully. Mom, I miss Dad. Will you find Dad and bring him back? Jiang Nianzi choked up. She remembered my resolute appearance when leaving, remembered the coldness and hurt she had caused me before. Her chest ached sharply. Mom. At some point, Lu Yue had also awakened. Rubbing her eyes, she came over. I miss Dad too. When will Dad come back, Mom? Jiang Nianzi hugged both children, not knowing how to comfort them, only her heart rising with an indescribable bitterness. 2 days later, Lu Yuchen finally recovered and was discharged. In the living room of the Jiang villa, many of Xiao Jian's belongings were piled up, and Xiao Jian in leather shoes tightly gripped Jiang Nianzi's sleeve, his well-manicured nails almost digging into her skin. Nianzi, you can't treat me like this. His voice full of tears, eyes containing endless regret. We've known each other for 20 years. You're going to do this over such a small matter? Small matter? Jiang Nianzi yanked her hand away, her eyes cold as ice. Abusing my children is a small matter? She took out her phone, opened a surveillance video. In the image, Xiao Jian was violently pinching Lu Yue's thigh. The little girl was in pain to the point of tears, but didn't dare make a sound. And this too. She scrolled to another clip. It was Xiao Jian pouring sleeping pills into the children's milk. I never expected to make the children sleep early while you attended parties. You dared to drug them. Xiao Jian's face paled. You monitored me. You haven't trusted me for a long time, have you? I monitor my home. Jiang Nianzi's voice was calculated and dangerous. At that moment, a maid suddenly ran out. Trembling said, Miss, I have something to tell you. She tremblingly pointed at Xiao Jian, her eyes unable to hide her disgust. From the first time he came to the house as a guest, he has always been instigating. You're talking nonsense, Xiao Zin shrieked. I did not. The maid gathered all her courage and said, he often took advantage when the master wasn't home, buying all kinds of toys and snacks for the children, and taught them to speak ill of the master. I heard with my own ears him telling young master, your father doesn't let you eat candy because he doesn't love you. He also said that if young master and miss could find a way to drive father away, they could truly be together. So the next day, young master personally pushed the master down the stairs. Jiang Nianzi's face grew increasingly worse. She turned to the butler, speaking in a low voice. Find the surveillance video from that day. When that video played on the large screen, the entire living room fell silent. In the image, 2 children with evil smiles pushed me down the stairs. And then Xiao Jian followed Jiang Nianzi into the house. Seeing everything, the satisfied, smug smile on his face couldn't be hidden. Mom Lu Yue suddenly ran down the stairs, threw herself into her arms, voice full of tears. We were wrong. We want Dad back. Lu Yuchen also followed, his little face full of tears. Uncle Jan said Dad doesn't want us anymore. Is that true? Xiao Jian laughed coldly. Of course it's true. He doesn't need you anymore, and now is probably embracing another woman. Jiang Nianzi, you didn't know, did you? That day, what you signed wasn't a house purchase contract, but a divorce agreement that Lu Haoyu gave you. Now you have no relationship with each other. You pushed him away with your own hands. Slap, another resounding slap, cutting off his vicious words. Jiang Nianzi's hand still hung in the air, her eyes burning with unprecedented fire. Throw all his belongings out, she ordered the butler. Things I bought. He's not allowed to take any. Xiao Jian held his face, eyes widened in disbelief. Jiang Nianzi, you're crazy. For that old man? Shut up, Jiang Nianzi shouted loudly, her face cold as ice. Say one more word. It'll make it impossible for you to live in Jing City anymore. The servants quickly acted, throwing each of Xiao Jian's suitcases out the front door. Limited edition models, high-end clothes, expensive watches scattered everywhere, like a messy pile of garbage. You will regret this. Xiao Jian stood at the door, screaming frantically. You think Lu Haoyu still wants you? He's been tired of you for a long time. The large door slammed shut in his face, cutting off all the unpleasant curses. The living room suddenly fell silent, to the point of being frightening. Jiang Nianzi slowly sat down, hugging both children in her arms. Their bodies were shaking. Tears fell, wetting her suit. Mom, does Dad really not want us anymore? Lu Yue asked, sobbing. Jiang Nianzi choked up. She remembered my resolute appearance when leaving, remembered the divorce agreement she had signed herself. Her chest ached sharply. No, she said softly, as if trying to convince herself, frowning deeply. Dad loves you very much. He certainly couldn't bear to leave. Perhaps Dad is just taking a walk. Then why hasn't Dad come back? Lu Yuchen raised his tear-stained face, his little face full of gloom. Is it because we pushed Dad down the stairs? Jiang Nianzi couldn't smile, only managed to wipe her son's tears. Mom will find Dad and bring him back. When the housekeepers took the children upstairs, Jiang Nianzi finally allowed herself to sit on the sofa. She took out her phone, called her assistant, speaking in a low voice. Find Lu Haoyu's whereabouts. Quickly hung up. Jiang Nianzi's eyes stopped on the family photo in the fireplace, taken 3 years ago. I stood at the far edge, my smile very forced, but at that time in her eyes there was no me. She didn't even notice my expression. Thinking back now, perhaps it was precisely because of her repeated indifference that I completely gave up on them. Miss, the butler gently interrupted her thoughts. Dinner is ready. Shall I call young master and Miss down? Jiang Nianzi nodded, frowning deeply. Today, I'll eat with them. In the dining room, Lu Yuchen and Lu Yue sadly ate their meal, no longer noisy as before. The once chubby children, now had thin, pointed chins. "Mom," Lu Yue suddenly asked softly, her manner completely lacking her previous moody, arrogant temperament. "I miss Dad." "Where did Dad go? Why hasn't he come back for so long? When you find Dad, will he forgive us?" Jiang Niance's hand paused, finally nodded, with conviction. "No matter what, he's still your father. Before, Dad loved you very much." In the quiet of late night, Jiang Nianqi stood alone in the study, reviewing surveillance footage from the past half year. In the images, I always quietly did housework, took care of the children, waited for her return. I rarely smiled, but whenever the children needed me, I always appeared immediately, until that day. The two children pushed me down the stairs, and she didn't even turn to look at me. Jiang Nianqi turned off the video, her chest feeling heavy. When she finds me and brings me back, she will definitely treat me well. Jiang Nianqi stood before the study window, lightly tapping her finger on the rosewood desk. The photos her assistant had just brought were spread on the table, each one like a knife stabbing her eyes. "Confirm it's him?" Her voice was terrifyingly deep. Absolutely no mistake. The assistant wiped the sweat from his forehead. "The master has opened a bookstore in Yuncheng. These are photos we took last week. In the photo was me, standing in front of a bookstore named Hao Yu. Sunlight filtering through the phoenix tree leaves, creating dappled shadows on my body. I wore a simple linen shirt, hair shorter than when I left, bending down, saying something to a little girl about 5 to 6 years old. Between my eyebrows was a gentleness not seen for a long time. The most striking thing was, standing beside me was a petite woman, her gentle eyes resting on me. I hugged the little girl. The three people standing together created a pausen as the three people standing together created a people, breathtakingly harmonious image. Who is the woman standing next to the master? Jiang Nianqi pressed her finger hard on the photo, leaving a blur on the woman's face. Seems to be the master's senior from university, named Xiao Xinyan. The little girl beside her is her deceased sister's child. In university, they only knew each other casually. This time they happened to meet again in Yuncheng. No, the master seems to like the little girl very much. Often takes her out. Miss Chow frequently goes along. Enough, no need to say more. Jiang Nianqi raised her hand to interrupt, her chest rising with a strange bitter feeling. How dare Lu Haoyu? How dare he look at another woman with those eyes? That was clearly the tenderness reserved only for her. At this moment, the study door was suddenly pushed open. Lu Yue and Lu Yuchen ran in barefoot, their little faces still wet with tears. "Mom." Lu Yue jumped into her lap. "Mrs. Wang said she's found Dad. Is it true?" Jiang Nianqi bent down to hug her daughter, her eyes glancing over my smiling expression in the photo. 3 months. I hadn't contacted my children once, yet in a strange place. I could smile happily with other people. "Can we go find Dad?" Lu Yuchen pulled at her dress. "We miss Dad." Jiang Nianqi looked at the three happy people in the photo, suddenly laughed coldly. "Prepare the plane," she said to her assistant, her fingers gently wiping tears from Lu Yue's face. "We're going to bring Dad home." She absolutely didn't believe I would truly like that woman. Surely this was just to provoke her. After all, how much I had loved her before. Loved her enough to endure 6 years of coldness. As long as she went to get me herself, bringing the two children, I would certainly soften. At the same time, at the NA through pottery workshop in Yuncheng, I was focusing on molding a piece of clay. Little Yao Yao lay on her stomach on the work table beside me, her small face with a few clay smudges. "Uncle Hao Yu, look at the little rabbit I made." The little girl showed off her treasure, holding up a misshapen form. I leaned in to look, suddenly dabbed some clay on Yao Yao's nose. Indeed, a little rabbit. Doesn't a rabbit need a round nose? Yao Yao giggled, also grabbed a bit of clay in return. While the two were creating chaos, Xiao Xinyan carried 3 cups of hot tea over, her face also spattered with a bit of mud. "You too." She shook her head helplessly, but couldn't hide her smile. "Turn this place into a battlefield?" Sunlight filtered through the skylight onto the table. Xiao Xinyan took out a handkerchief, naturally wiped away the mud on my cheek. Her fingers paused when touching my skin, realizing the distance between us was too close. Her ears couldn't help but turn red. Yao Yao laughed watching this scene, suddenly put down her clay, blinking her big eyes at me. "Uncle Xiaolu, I am so happy. I wish I could always stay with Aunt Yinyan, and you too. How wonderful that would be." My heart was moved. Looking up, I met Xiao Xinyan's gentle gaze. That look contained hesitant expectation, making my heart tremble. But thinking of Jiang Nianqi and the two children, my eyes couldn't help but become gloomy. "Yao Yao." Xiao Xinyan suddenly gently broke the silent atmosphere, pushing the finished small bowl toward her niece, smiling. "Look at this. Do you like it?" Yao Yao was indeed distracted, immediately forgetting her previous question. I bowed my head, my fingers unconsciously caressing the rough surface of the clay, my chest rising with a warm feeling, but also mixed with an indescribable bitterness. In the bathroom, I looked at myself in the mirror. 3 months had passed. The dark circles under my eyes had faded, the corners of my mouth no longer tense. The wounds on my body had also faded significantly. The sunlight and gentle breeze of Yuncheng seemed to have truly soothed the invisible wounds on my body. But when Yao Yao talked about staying together forever, before my eyes appeared the faces of Lu Yuchen and Lu Yue, the children I had once devoted all my energy to, caring for, nurturing, the children who had pushed me down the stairs. Could that past be truly forgotten completely? Jiang Niance's private jet, landed at Yuncheng Airport that very day. The sunlight was blindingly painful. She squinted, watching the two children being carried down by bodyguards. Mom, will we really see Dad? Lu Yue raised her little face to ask, her eyes sparkling with expectation and worry. Of course. Jiang Nianqi adjusted her dress, her voice steady and determined. Dad will certainly be very happy to see you. The assistant quickly approached, handing over a document. Mrs. Jiang, Webb confirmed the master's location. He's currently at a pottery workshop in the eastern part of the city, with those two others. The document included a secretly taken photo. I was squatting in front of a little girl, gently wiping mud from her face. Beside me stood a tall woman, smiling as she watched us. Sunlight streamed through the glass windows onto the three of us, creating a warm image that hurt the eyes. Jiang Nianxi's fingers unconsciously tightened, crumpling the corner of the photo. The way that woman looked at Lu Haoyu, she was too familiar with. That was the gentleness I had never shown her. Prepare the car, she coldly ordered. Go there immediately. Throughout the journey, Lu Yuchen and Lu Yue were strangely silent. They stared out the car windows, looking at the unfamiliar city scenery, their small hands anxiously gripping their clothes. Jiang Nianxi noticed. Today, the two children were specifically wearing the outfits I had bought them last year. Mom, Lu Yuchen suddenly asked softly, his young face full of anxiety. Do you think Dad will forgive us? Jiang Nianxi didn't answer immediately. Remembering the surveillance video, when I was pushed down the stairs, my pained face, the image of me turning and walking away. He will forgive. Finally, she only said that, not knowing if she was deceiving others, or deceiving herself. Dad loves you the most. How could he not want you? The car stopped in front of a pottery workshop called Nathu, through the large window. Jiang Nianqi saw me immediately. I wore a simple white t-shirt and jeans, concentrating on molding a piece of clay. Sunlight cast a golden edge on my cheeks, making my whole body look gentle and radiant. The girl named Yao Yao suddenly grabbed a handful of clay, mischievously smeared it on my face. Beyond Jiang Nianxi's expectations, I was not only not angry, but laughed and threatened to smear her back. I laughed very happily, my whole person filled with joy. That was a smile Jiang Nianxi hadn't seen for a long time. Dad. Lu Yue was watching, suddenly pulled her hand away from the bodyguard, ran into the pottery workshop. Jiang Nianxi couldn't stop her in time, had to hurriedly follow. When the door opened, the wind chime rang clearly. I heard it and looked up. The smile froze on my face. Yue. My voice trembled slightly, my eyes passing over the child, stopping on Jiang Nianxi, but the expression on my face wasn't joy, but rejection and indifference. Why are you here? How did you find me? Yao Yao curiously looked at the strangers who suddenly burst in, instinctively hid behind me. Chao Xinyan stood up, skillfully shielding in front of the two of us. Dad. Lu Yuchen also ran in, tightly hugging my leg, eyes filled with tears. We missed you so much, Dad, these past days. Have you been with these two people? Because of these two people? The boy looked at Yao Yao with hostility, glaring at the little girl, making Yao Yao fearfully grip the corner of my shirt. I stood frozen in place, my hands suspended in midair, not knowing whether I should respond. When I saw the look in Lu Yuchen's eyes, I suddenly seemed to come to my senses. My eyes also became cold, with no gesture of response. Instead, I gently stepped back, my eyes moving between the two children and Chao Xinyan, finally stopping on Jiang Nianqi. What are you doing here? My voice was very soft. Jiang Nianqi stepped forward, her eyes passing over Chao Xinyan, finally stopping on my face. Lu Haoyu, we've come to take you home. Stop this now. Your punishment has been enough. The children have also realized their mistakes. Come back with us quickly. The pottery workshop suddenly fell frighteningly silent. Customers and staff all paused what they were doing, curiously watching this scene. Home? I laughed coldly. What home? Dad, come back with us. Lu Yue pulled my hand, shaking it. Her eyes no longer held the stubbornness from before, but were full of longing and pleading. We won't make Dad angry anymore. That's right, Dad. Lu Yuchen also hurriedly said. We've sent Uncle Jian away, Mom said. From now on, only you will be our father. My expression changed slightly. I sat down at the children's eye level. I won't go back with you, because not everything can be solved with an apology. Why? Lu Yue's tears spilled over. Why don't you love us anymore? The question was like a blunt knife, stabbing deep into my heart. I opened my mouth, smiled bitterly and asked, pushing Dad down the stairs, falsely accusing Dad of feeding you mangoes. Weren't these things done by your own hands? Not wanting Dad, wanting Xiao Jian to be your father. Weren't these words spoken from your own mouths? I admit, though I may not necessarily be an outstanding father, but I always tried my best, wholeheartedly caring for you, loving you. I don't understand why it ended up with this result. The two children's faces turned purple-red, too ashamed to speak, but Lu Yuchen still didn't want to give up, pleaded again, Dad, before we didn't understand. Now I know we were wrong. Please forgive us, can you? Before I could open my mouth, Yao Yao suddenly timidly spoke up, Uncle Xiao Lu, will you leave? Her small hand tightly gripped my shirt, her beautiful big eyes full of tears. Xiao Xinyan bent down to pick up Yao Yao, gently comforting her. Yao Yao, don't be afraid. He won't leave you. Wherever he chooses to go, we must respect his choice. And even if he's not here, he will still come visit Yao Yao often. Jiang Nianqi watched this scene, her chest erupting with inexplicable anger. This strange woman, what right did she have to use such intimate terms? What right did she have to hold a child and stand beside Lu Haoyu, as if they were a family? Lu Haoyu, stop being stubborn. The children need you. As a father, how don't you want to raise your own children anymore, but instead want to be stubborn? They need me? I stood up, my eyes flashing with a coldness Jiang Nianzi had never seen before. When they pushed me down the stairs, did they need me? When they said they hated me in front of everyone, did they need me? When they called Xiaojian father, how did they need me? Each question was like a slap, striking Jiang Nianzi into silence. The two children cried more fiercely, clutching my shirt tightly and not letting go. We were wrong, Dad. Lu Yue cried until she could barely breathe. From now on, well, only love you. Well, never hurt you again. My eyes were red, but my attitude remained unwavering. Chao Xinyan silently handed me a tissue. This small action completely angered Jiang Nianzi. She coldly challenged, "Who do you think you are? What right do you have to interfere in our family matters?" Chao Xinyan calmly pushed up her glasses, her voice steady. "I am Lu Haoyu's friend. As for my right," she looked at the two children crying until soaked. "I think those who have hurt him have no right to ask me this question." Jiang Nianzi's fist clenched so tightly it cracked. Just as the atmosphere was as tense as a drawn bow, Yao Yao suddenly said softly, "Uncle Xiaolu, the bowl we made isn't finished yet." This statement finally helped me make up my mind. Taking a deep breath, turning to Jiang Nianzi, "Please take the children away," I repeated, "and there's nothing more to say between us." "Dad," both children shouted simultaneously, tightly hugging my legs and not letting go. "Please, Dad, don't abandon us." The situation became chaotic for a moment. The pottery shop owner hesitated whether to call the police. Other customers collectively took out phones to film. I stood in the middle of the storm, my face as pale as paper. Jiang Nianzi saw my trembling hands, suddenly realized she had made a fatal mistake. She thought bringing the children would move me, but forgot to consider my feelings. Wounds can't be erased with just an apology, like a broken porcelain vase. No matter how it's repaired, cracks remain. She struggled to speak. "Yuchen, Yue, let's go home first." "No," Lu Yushin cried noisily, clutching my shirt tightly without letting go. "We want Dad," Mom said. Today she would bring Dad home with us. Mom said so. I closed my eyes. Tears silently slid down. Chao Xinyan silently took Yao Yao's small hand. The little girl immediately gripped my finger tightly, as if that could give me strength. I determined to speak, my voice cold as ice, without any hesitation. "Jiang Nianzi, take them away. I've already said the things you all did before. I cannot forgive. If you came to talk about child support, I can transfer money without hesitation. As for other matters, don't mention them to me again. If you come again, I won't hesitate to call the police." The statement was like a heavy blow, but completely shattering Jiang Nianzi's confidence. She had thought I would soften, would return for the sake of the children, but never expected my determination to leave would be so firm. She bent down to embrace the two children, despite their crying and struggling, quickly walked to the door. Before pushing the door to leave, she turned her head to look at me one last time. I was squatting down comforting Yao Yao, Qiao Xinyan standing beside me. The silhouette of the three people looked so intimate, so happy. In the pottery workshop, everything had returned to quiet. I mechanically molded the clay in my hand, my finger joints white from using force. Yao Yao sat quietly beside me, occasionally looking at me with concern. Finally, the child couldn't help asking, "Uncle Xiaolu, are you very sad?" My hand paused, forcing a smile. "No, Yao Yao, don't worry. Uncle will continue making a small bowl for you, okay?" Qiao Xinyan silently brought a cup of warm water, gently placing it beside me. "Would you like to rest?" I shook my head, my eyes stopping on the half-molded clay bowl, its shape distorted, like my mood right now. The tear-reddened eyes of Lu Yuchen and Lu Yue continuously appeared in my mind, making my chest constrict. "They've gotten thinner," I said softly, as if talking to myself. Qiao Xinyan didn't respond, just silently stayed beside me. Sunlight filtered through the glass window onto the work table. The small bowl Yao Yao had molded, under the light emitted a gentle sheen. "Auntie," Yao Yao thought for a moment, suddenly suggested, "Let's make a gift for Uncle Xiaolu." Chao Qingyan gently stroked her niece's head, softly said, "Okay, what does Yao Yao want to make?" "Make a small house," Yao Yao said excitedly, "so Uncle Xiaolu will have a new home." The innocent words made my nose sting. I looked at the little girl carefully molding clay, and Qiao Xinyan concentrating on guiding her, suddenly realized, without noticing, these two people had become important parts of my life. "Yao Yao, why do you want to make a house for Uncle?" I asked softly. The little girl looked up, her big eyes clear and transparent. "Because Uncle Xiaolu isn't happy. Auntie says home is a place that makes people happy. I want Uncle to be happy." My eyes reddened again. Chao Xinyan lowered her head slightly embarrassed, her ears turning slightly red. "Children speak without thinking. Lu Haoyu, don't be sad." "Thank you both," I suddenly said, my voice slightly choked, but quickly smiling through tears. "Meeting you both makes me very happy." Yao Yao immediately jumped into my lap, her small arms tightly hugging my neck. "Uncle, can we stay together forever? Like a family?" Chao Xinyan's hands stopped in midair, clay falling from her fingertips. Her eyes met mine. Both of us blushed. "Yao Yao, she gently scolded. Talking like that will pressure him. It's all right, I smiled gently, patting the little girl's head, looking at Xiao Xinyan with gentle and determined eyes. I am very honored to become a part of your lives. The two pairs of eyes before me suddenly lit up, like two pairs of sparkling stars. I looked at the two figures before me, couldn't help but smile. The pain in my chest gradually replaced by a new emotion. It was a sense of security I hadn't experienced for a long time. Yuncheng has had a lot of rain lately. Even the Haoyu bookstore has fewer customers. Just that for many days. A Maybach has been parked in front. The owner still persistently standing at the door, not leaving at all. Uncle Xiao Lu, look at what I drew. Yao Yao held up a crayon drawing, skipping over. But when she saw my expression, she suddenly stopped. Uncle, Yao Yao timidly asked, are you unhappy again? I forced a smile, not answering, but taking the picture. It's beautiful. Is this a little rabbit? Yes. Yao Yao nodded vigorously, then turned her small hand, pointing outside the window. Is it because those bad people came again that you're sad? Xiao Xinyan stepped out from behind the bookshelf, carrying a steaming cup of flower tea. She skillfully stood blocking the window, obstructing the view from across the street. Should we call the police? She asked softly, her eyes glancing toward the luxury car that had been parked for a week. Through the rain, vaguely visible were two small figures, pressed against the car windows, staring intently at the bookstore. I shook my head, coldly said, they will give up eventually. The rain grew heavier. Suddenly, the car door across the street swung open. Lu Yue, holding a black umbrella, too large for her, staggered running toward the bookstore. Rain soaked her dress and small leather shoes, but she didn't care, just stubbornly banged on the tightly closed door. Dad, please open the door. Her young voice pierced through the rain curtain, sobbing, I know you're in there. Dad, you've seen us already. Why don't you pay attention to me and my brother? Do you really not want us anymore? My fingers gripped the curtain tightly, knuckles turning white. Xiao Xinyan stood silently beside me, her warm palm gently covering my trembling hand. One last time, I suddenly said, my eyes gradually becoming determined. This time, I'll end everything with them. After speaking, I took my phone, found the number I had blocked long ago, sent a message. In the cafe, I chose a seat near the window, quietly waiting for the three to arrive. Not long after, Jiang Yanxi led the two children in. Today she unusually wasn't wearing a business suit. A simple wrinkled white shirt clung to her body. Under her eyes were obvious dark circles. The two children also looked pitiful in dirty clothes. They seemed to have lost considerable weight. Dad, Lu Yue rushed toward me as soon as she saw me, but just as she was about to touch me, I gently avoided her. Sit down. I pointed to the chair opposite, my voice strangely calm. Jiang Yanxi's eyes flickered slightly, struggling to say, Lu Haoyu, these past days the children haven't been well. Their health was never strong, and they lack your care. I know. I cut her off, taking a craft paper envelope from my bag. This is the development journal I kept for them from the beginning. From birth until now, all the things to note when caring for them are in here, along with allergy lists, medication records. They're not little anymore. I trust you, Jiang. Niance's face immediately paled, her voice trembling. What do you mean? I don't want these things. Lu Haoyu, you don't understand? We just want you to come back. I didn't look at her, but lowered my head with a mocking smile, slowly rolled up my left sleeve, revealing a vicious scar. I remember this. From when Lu Yuchen pushed me down the stairs, I was cut by broken glass. That night I went to the hospital for 12 stitches, and at that time, you all were having fun with Xiao Jian, a loving mother and filial children. Lu Yuchen's little face immediately drained of blood, looking at the scar in horror, his lips trembling. Dad, I didn't mean to. I shook my head slightly, then lifted my pant leg, revealing the frightening wound on my leg, the scar like a giant centipede across my leg, almost gouging out a piece of flesh. This was from that time, when I was trapped in the elevator with Xiao Jian. You said he still needed to play piano, so without hesitation abandoned me. My voice was very soft, but sharp as a knife. Just a little more, just a bit more. This leg might have been lost. You all say you didn't mean it. My eyes shifted to Jiang Nianci, carrying undisguised mockery. Just like you deliberately falsely accused me of feeding you mangoes. Deliberately said you hated me in front of everyone. And what about me? The injuries I received, just because of your casual words, not intentional, can they be easily forgiven? Lu Yue suddenly burst into tears, rushed to hug my arm. I know I was wrong, Dad. Please come home. We will never be like that again. I looked at my tear-soaked daughter, my heart very calm, only rippling with familiar pain. I just sat silently, waiting for the crying to gradually subside, then slowly spoke. Dad once truly loved you very much. Lu Yue was born premature, weighing only 4 pounds 8 ounces. Dad stood by the incubator for 7 days and 7 nights. When Lu Yuchen was bullied by classmates and afraid to go to school, Dad escorted you to the classroom door every day. Dad remembered everyone's birthday by heart, made cakes for you with his own hands. But love can also be depleted. When you pushed Dad down the stairs, said you never wanted to see Dad again, and chose Xiao Jian as your father, the relationship between us ended. I stood up, placed coffee money under the cup, word by word said, Today, Dad came here to tell you Dad won't come back anymore. Not only because Dad has a bright new life, doesn't want to be stuck in the quagmire of the past, and meaninglessly entangled with you anymore, After speaking, I turned without hesitation and walked out. Lu Yuwei's heartbreaking cries rang out behind me, but my steps didn't falter. Dad, please, don't abandon us. I pushed open the cafe door. Across the street, Chao Xinyan holding Yao Yao's hand was waiting by the car. As soon as Yao Yao saw me, she immediately broke free from Chao Xinyan, ran over quickly, jumped into my arms. Her small hands anxiously touched my face. Uncle Xiao Lu, are you okay? Did they bully you? I bent down to pick up Yao Yao, kissed her soft cheek. Uncle is fine. Let's go home. Chao Xinyan walked over, asked nothing, just gently took my arm. The three people's silhouettes walking toward the car, under the sunlight looking so harmonious. In the cafe, Lu Yuwei's crying gradually subsided. Jiang Nianqi stared blankly out the window, saw me getting into an unfamiliar car, saw that little girl nestling intimately against me, and that strange woman, gently fastening my seatbelt. Mom. Lu Yuchen pulled her dress, his voice containing unprecedented fear. Does he really not want us anymore? Jiang Nianqi didn't answer, the certainty in her heart before coming. Now not a piece remained. This time, it seemed they had truly lost me. I stood on the balcony, watching Yao Yao watering the flower bed in the yard. Yao Yao wore a light yellow dress, humming a jumbled nursery rhyme, skipping about, looking so happy. What are you thinking about? A pair of warm hands embraced me from behind. Chao Qinyan's chin gently rested on my back. Her body still smelled of disinfectant, clearly just returned from her shift. Before I could turn around, I couldn't help but laugh. I was remembering our first meeting, when you brought Yao Yao to buy picture books. Chao Xinyan laughed softly, her eyes full of tenderness. At that time I thought, how could this junior from school after so many years still be so handsome? If you're quite the flatterer. I laughed lightly a couple times, happy enough to lean over. Our laughter alerted Yao Yao in the yard. Yao Yao threw down her watering can, flew up like a little butterfly. Auntie, Uncle Xiao, Lu, what are you two whispering about? Chao Xinyan bent down to pick up Yao Yao, kissed her dirt-smudged little face. Auntie was asking Uncle Xiao Lu if he wants to stay with us forever. Yao Yao's eyes immediately brightened, her small hand gripping my shirt tightly. Really? Will Uncle Xiao Lu stay with us forever? My heart felt soaked in warm water, soft, taking Yao Yao. In the expectant eyes of the child, I nodded. If Yao Yao agrees, then Uncle will stay. I agree. I agree. Yao Yao cheered, hugging my neck, then turned to look at Chiao Xinyan. Auntie, hurry and give Uncle Xiao Lu a ring, like in the TV shows. Xiao Xinyan's ears turned pink, took out a small red velvet box from her pocket, handed it to me. Lu Haoyu, her voice trembled slightly. Do you agree? I didn't wait for her to finish asking, had already firmly given my answer, though my eyes were filled with tears. The corners of my mouth were full of happiness. Our wedding was set for 3 months later. On the wedding day, the sunshine was unusually beautiful. Chao Xinyan wore a simple white wedding dress, holding a bouquet of wildflowers Yao Yao had picked for her, walked toward me amid everyone's blessings. When the priest declared us officially husband and wife, Yao Yao eagerly jumped into my arms, clearly calling me stepfather. At the back of the crowd of guests stood 3 lonely figures, an eyelash, 1 large and 2 small. Let me handle it. Chao Xinyan held my hand. I gently reassured her. No, let me go myself. I took a deep breath, walked toward the door. As soon as the door opened, Lu Yue rushed forward. Dad, you look so handsome today. I stepped back, avoiding the girl's hug, coldly asked, what are you all doing here? Jiang Yan's eyes stopped at the wedding space behind me, her voice hoarse, her eyes full of reminiscence and regret. We don't have bad intentions. He just wanted to congratulate you. No need. Please leave. My voice wasn't loud, but decisive. Jiang Yan's face immediately paled. She reached out to pull the 2 crying children, her eyes carrying desperation. Yuchen, Yue, let's go. No. Lu Yue wrenched her hand from Jiang Nianci, rushed to hug my legs, sobbing uncontrollably. Dad, please look at me. Just look at me a little. I bent down, looking at the daughter I once cherished in the palm of my hand, not kneeling, just gently removing those small hands. Goodbye, Lu Yue, and Lu Yuchen too. Don't come looking for me anymore. Go live. Your new lives. I also have a new life, of my own. When I turned around, I heard Jiang Niance's choked sobs and the heart-wrenching cries of the children. But when I walked back to the wedding space, saw Yao Yao holding a small flower basket running toward me. Chao Xinyan standing in the sunlight smiling at me. Those sounds became distant and vague. Later I heard from the old butler. The Jiang family wasn't doing well. After Xiao Jane was expelled, the house was messy. Jiang Nianqi was busy with work. The 2 children boarded at school, their personalities becoming increasingly difficult. They tried to come to Yuncheng to find me again, but were stopped by security outside the apartment complex. Sometimes I dream of the past. Dream of Lu Yuchen with a high fever that wouldn't break. Me staying up all night caring for him. Dream of the 2 children. Their smiles when they first called me dad. When I wake up, Xiao Xinyan always notices immediately, embraces me with gentle comfort. Lu Haoyu, do you regret it? Once she hesitantly asked. I looked at the 2 stray cats, playing with Yao Yao in the yard, shook my head. Current life is very happy, the road ahead full of light. I won't look back anymore. Just then Yao Yao came running with the 2 small cats, her face covered in grass, happily asking, Stepfather, aren't they cute? Can we keep them? Of course we can. I smiled, affectionately stroking Yao Yao's sweaty face. And this is our home. You can decide too. Sunlight filtered through the leaves onto the three of us, casting interweaving patterns of light and shadow. The darkness that once enveloped me, from now on is gone.